Tonight we're doing another project update on the NC12 Rodanthe Bridge, project B2500B. And tonight is December 3rd, 2020. Okay, if you note, when you call in, your microphones are muted. If you call in on your phone, we'd ask that you mute your phone during the presentation. If you wish to submit a comment or a question, please feel free to use the chat box. We'll look at those once we get through the presentation. Or you can call 984-205-6615 and enter code 8679. You can leave a message for us there, and we will try to answer your questions or address your comments. Tonight we'll introduce the Ncdot staff in attendance or on the project. I will do a review of the past update meeting questions and responses. We'll give a project update, and then we'll open it to questions and comments for our group. Again, you'll see at the bottom left corner of this, you can do questions or comments using the chat box or by calling the number and putting in the project code. Our Ncdot staff, we have Sterling Baker, who is our division engineer for Highway Division 1, Pablo Hernandez, who's our resident engineer for Division 1, Byron Kyle, who is our new design build project engineer, and I'm Diane Wilson, Senior Public Involvement Officer for Ncdot. So here's what we heard at the September 3rd, 2020 update meeting. We had responses to questions submitted at the previous meeting. Several questions were then submitted at the September 3rd meeting, which were addressed, and responses to the questions submitted on September 3 followed. Typically what we got were mainly questions on the roundabout and what will the traffic pattern be at the southern end of the rotary or roundabout, and I apologize, I've got some things on here. The traffic exiting the roundabout headed southward will be traveling at a lower than posted speeds, which will allow for traffic exiting businesses to see gaps and enter the flow of traffic easily, which will reduce congestion issues that exist today. Ncdot builds roundabouts to improve safety for drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists. Roundabouts help reduce the congestion and backups typical of traditional intersections with stop signs or traffic signals. Drivers generally enter the roundabouts more quickly than if waiting at a traffic signal because they're not stopping. Modern roundabouts are much smaller than older traffic circles or rotaries, as they were called. We require vehicles to travel at lower speeds, typically 15 to 20 miles an hour, making them safer than traffic circles. And the slower speeds make it easier for a driver to find a gap in traffic inside the roundabout before safely entering. Again, safety improvements were achieved after roundabouts replaced 13 intersections with 55-mile-an-hour speed limits. Total crashes were down 41%, with fatal and injury crashes down 79%, and frontal impact crashes down 62%. And this came from our DOT Traffic Safety Unit in 2020. How far north will the road be open after bridge completion? I believe we answered that last time, and I'm sorry that slide got in there. After the bridge is completed, the roadway will terminate approximately 33 feet south of the refuge boundary, which is just north of Green Lantern Court. Upon completion, the bridge, all pavement between the refuge boundary and the northern terminus of the bridge will be removed. Now, we'll quickly move into our December 3, 2020 update. Again, your questions or comments come in using the chat box or calling the phone number and entering the code.
Good evening. This is Pablo Hernandez. I'm the resident engineer for the Manio Resident Engineer's Office. We're administering the construction contract for the Rodanthe Bridge. As of December 3rd today, we are approximately 54% complete with the structure. And as of November 25th, which is the 25th of the month, are our billing period. So that's the most accurate cost number to date. Just slightly over $11.5 million has been paid. This includes the design, permitting for the project, as well as some construction claim settlement that took place at the very beginning of the construction of the project, with some delays in the permitting issues. This claim settlement has resulted in a new adjusted contract value of just slightly over $155 million. Next slide. As far as the actual completion to date of the structure, again, using the tried and true statistics that people like to hear about, the number of vents, number of spans, number of piles that have been installed, as we can see here on the presentation. 62 of 108 vents or supports for the bridge have been installed. This equates to 218 out of 352 pilings have been driven into the ground. On top of the pilings, obviously we have the girders and then the bridge deck, which is the riding surface. 52 of 107 spans of bridge deck have been cast, and hopefully we can increase that number to 53 tomorrow and 54 on Monday, depending on how the weather holds out for us the next week. As far as going to the next slide on addressing each end of the project, on the north end of the project, as unfortunately has been a common theme here for the last couple of community update meetings, and as people have noticed as they're driving by on the project, is not progressing as fast as the southern end of the project. And the reason is that the pile installation just continues to be more challenging than expected. Fortunately, we are getting the piling into the ground to the depths and the requirements that we want, but it's just taking a little bit more effort and therefore a little bit more time. Also going on, or what you will see probably in the new year at the north end, is Cape Hatteras Electric's contractor will be installing some underground pipes or conduits for phase 1 of their transmission line relocation. There will be no actual line relocation. This is just all the preparatory work to be able to eventually install the transmission lines onto the bridge. Fortunately, at the north end, going back to what I mentioned, hopefully the weather will hold out. We'll get a deck pour, one deck pour this week on that north end. And hopefully, moving to the next slide, we'll get another deck pour in on the south end first of next week. At the south end, again, another common theme that you've seen from the previous meetings is we did begin some work on the roundabout along with some drainage work and earthwork back in April of 2020. We were anticipating the paving and earthwork subcontractor to move back into the project late summer, early fall, but with the good weather we're having and the amount of other asphalt paving that they're doing elsewhere, in Northeast North Carolina. They're taking advantage of that, of the good weather to get that resurfacing work done elsewhere in the state. With that said, I would not be surprised if we see them sometime in the new year, especially with the colder weather, and they can do some of the earthwork and paving and or concrete curb and gutter work in the winter. And so that would necessitate some single lane closures, but hopefully they should be very short and minimal. Also, with the cooler weather, the early morning concrete placements that we were doing starting last spring and especially through the summer, we're not necessarily going to see those end, but we could see those being reduced just because of the winter weather, as well as working at night, as well as our concrete producer and what they can supply to us. Again, the other thing that'll be taking place, or is taking place right now at the south end, Cape Hatteras Electric is underway with phase one for their relocation project, where they are installing some underground pipes or conduits, essentially from Highway 12 to the first three spans of the bridge at the very south end. Those that have driven by the project may have noticed that a house has been moved. That's property that Cape Hatteras Electric acquired. And right now you see a lot of construction equipment and wood matting laid down. That contractor is in the process of essentially doing an underground bore, where he's essentially creating a 28-inch diameter hole such that he can pull all these different pipes through that will hold the power cables, as well as the fiber optic cables that will be coming off of the bridge and then tying into the rest of the network.
Sorry.
That's all right. And as far as completion, right now we're targeting late 2021. Obviously, previous updates, we were really seeing the schedule targeting the fall of 21. Unfortunately, we are seeing that completion slip just a little bit, and hopefully this holds for late 2021. With that concludes my update for where we're at right now. And if you have any questions or comments, please chat those to Diane and myself.
So we did receive two questions from Rick Shafton. Question one is, where are all the surfers going to park once the road is removed? And
as far as the road north of, from the refuge boundary north, will be removed, and currently Division 1 is having some internal discussions about how we're going to maintain that portion of NC-12 from the roundabout to the north end of the Merlot Beach subdivision, not only in terms of sand management, but also parking and providing a little bit better turnaround area than what we currently have in the plans. So the best, I guess the next other way I could say that is we'll hopefully have some more details here in the next, either in the next update or the one following that.
Rick's second question deals with the paving, and he said, so does that mean that they'll finally pave Corbina Drive? It's only been 9 months. As soon as they get here.
Yeah, once the paver shows up, we will address what we can. That is, will provide for safe travel.
Wayne has a question about, is there any update on the name for the bridge?
No, we have not heard anything in regards to naming or dedicating the bridge.
And Doug West would like to know, where will the electric cable be located on the southern end, at Pappy Lane or further south?
The electric cable at the south end of the project, as it comes off of the bridge, it will be suspended from the underside of the bridge deck up to about maybe 75 feet, 100 feet landward of the shoreline, and then it will transition from the underside of the bridge deck to approximately 4 feet underground, and it will actually go underground again from about 100 feet from the shoreline, following the bridge alignment and the roadway alignment toward NC-12. So it will not be in the Pappy Lane right-of-way or easement or any of those other properties. It will stay within the NCDOT right-of-way.
Okay, so Rick Shafton has another question. How many more nights will lights be shining into the window past 10 p.m.? I thought the lights were going to be appointed away from houses.
Probably the lights will be in place, at least for what we're doing right now. We're slip forming the barrier wall. Those lights will probably be in place for another 2 to 3 nights. Unfortunately, with the type of work that we're doing right now, we don't have very many options in how we can position those lights.
And Wayne says that regarding the name, at the last update meeting, we suggested they contact the county commissioners, and apparently they did, and were told it had been named. Any news? We haven't heard that.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any communications from the internally within the DOT or with Dare County, but we can definitely follow up on that.
Do you have any other questions or comments? Let's see. Okay, so yeah, Wayne says thanks. He'd appreciate us following up on the name. Okay.
Do we have any contact info for Wayne?
I don't. Wayne, if you would privately chat box to me and give me your name and a good contact email, we can check on that and get back to you.
We received a question regarding Cape Hatteras Electric accessing Pappy Lane for their phase 1 of their boring work. We as the department, especially locally here at the Manio office as well as at the division office and out of Edenton, we were not in favor of Cape Hatteras Electric creating impacts on Pappy Lane with the amount of construction traffic that they would generate along Pappy Lane, as well as the potentially of damaging Pappy Lane. The other reasoning is prior to Cape Hatteras Electric approaching us, or really it was their contractor approaching us about using Pappy Lane, we had already coordinated with the environmental agencies on a corridor in the wetlands that they could work to access that area that's approximately 100 feet from the shoreline. It would have required modifications to the permits, and there was just really no good justification to make that effort to modify.
And Rick Shafton is replying on the bridge naming. The bridge naming will be a political statement like the other bridge. Yes, we just have not heard anything on that yet. Ada Hubble, we haven't stated yet. It will be on the next slide. She was asking when the next update meeting will be, and I'll go ahead and pull that slide up. It will be on March 4th at 6 p.m. Again, we say the location will be announced. At this point, we anticipate it will be another virtual meeting. Rick Shafton thanks us for answering his questions, and thank you for posing the questions. You're welcome. Thank you for your concern about Pappy Lane. You are certainly welcome. If you do think of questions or comments you'd like to ask or make following the close of the meeting, we'll leave it open for a little longer in case we get some other questions. You can email them to the project email, or you can at the nc12-rodanthe@publicinput.com, and we get those as soon as they come in. You can also call the project number and leave a voicemail message either way. And the project number is this 984-205-6615. And when it answers, enter code 8679. And you record a message that will be turned into an email and sent to members of the project team. And then we'll address those at the next meeting. Thank you, Wayne. We are certainly trying to keep you informed. I'd like you to thank you all for joining us this evening. If you do have questions or comments prior to the next update meeting, which will be March 4th, 2021, please either email those to nc12-rodanthe@publicinput.com or call the 984 number and leave a voicemail. Someone will get back to you shortly. Thank you again, and we'll see you on March 4th. Please stay healthy and safe and enjoy the holidays.